This is not a video I'm looking forward to making. I didn't really want to make this video. I've been kind of putting it off, but I think it's important to be upfront, transparent, and honest with all of you about the current state of Project Armageddon and its current phase, the current most released phase, and the upcoming phases. I want to try and make some things very clear and explain what is going wrong with Phase 5 and what's going to be going wrong with Phase 6 and 7. I know this is a frustrating situation for everybody, and believe me, this upsets me more than you can imagine. Even though the delisted project has been in motion for over 5 years at this point, Project Armageddon was my first attempt at an extremely large-scale preservation effort. And I'll be totally honest, I bit off more than I could chew with this one. There were things I didn't fully understand about the Android platform that are unique to this game in particular, and I'm learning those lessons the hard way right now. So, let's talk about Phase 5 and this missing megabytes issue. To explain what's happening, we need to look at how this game is structured. The Real Racing 3 app that you and I downloaded off of the App Store was really only an installer program, as booting it up would only start the actual process of downloading the game data. And the problem is what happens before the data is even started downloading, as the game checks what device you are using and decides what files you need specifically. Unlike modern mobile games that have universal assets that can work across multiple different types of Android OS and Android graphics processors, the FireMonkey's team created a system that downloads unique data to your specific system. This creates a problem when a device boots up the game looking for specific assets that don't exist, creating an unskippable download screen. With the official servers down, it's impossible to obtain the specific files that the game is looking for. Now, why this issue has popped up specifically with Phase 5 and not sooner, I'm really not sure. My best guess is that the newer versions of the game had higher quality graphics options and therefore more exact device specs to meet, something the older versions of the game didn't have a problem with, as they were more optimized for at least more basic, I say basic, but like 4 or 5 different GPU types, and that was it, not specific sub-versions of specific GPU types. Meaning the files I have for Adreno don't work for all Adreno devices, just specific Adreno devices. In a perfect world, then you would need to have like 3 or 4 different Adreno versions of this game for the 3 or 4 different GPU specs that exist. Either way, this roadblock isn't going away. And without knowing what files exactly are missing, there's no way to really fix this issue right now. The way the game file system was designed, it's nearly impossible for one set of files to work on every device type, especially when you involve the vPhone OS emulator. I expect this missing megabytes issue to continue on into phases 6 and 7, but that's not the only issue that phase 6 is going to have. So as I've basically just explained, the game downloads specific assets depending on the device that is running the game. Now, I have 3 different Android devices that I use for preservation projects, but all of them are running some form of the Android Mali GPU. Meaning for any other assets, I would need someone else to use their device to download them. Which is what happened with the Adreno files. Now, I want to give full credit to OnlyNat04 on Discord, because without him, there would be no Adreno GPU options at all. What he did in the last week and a half before the server shut down was nothing short of incredible. He wasn't able to download data for every version of the game, but around 70%, I think, of the total number, which is nothing to scoff at. especially when the total number was around 113 versions. Unfortunately, a little over a week ago, his Google Drive containing those Arduino game files was taken down, meaning the files he had that would have been featured in Phase 6 are now missing. As it stands, Phase 6 will release only on PC and Mali-specific Android options. But that's not including the fact that the missing megabytes bug will still be present, and therefore game files will most likely be inaccessible for most everybody. Now, to my understanding, there's still some communication going on with Google right now, but I don't have high hopes of getting those files back. It's a mess, and I mean, thankfully I did download the files for phases 1 through 5 already, even if phase 5 is broken. But the way my luck has been, especially with this project, I don't expect much to come of this communication with Google. I think the few files that were there are gone. It's just so frustrating that as strong as this project has started off, this second half has just completely gone off the rails, I feel like, and some of it's been in my control, and I'll take full responsibility for the stuff that was in my control. That's just the way my luck has been with this project, man. It's just been ridiculous. Really, from the beginning, I feel like it's just been ridiculous. But let's keep it rolling. Let's go on to Phase 7 and some more bad news. But Phase 7 has its own plethora of problems. So, Phase 7 is going to exclusively feature the last 7 versions of Real Racing 3. So, from like 13.3 to 14.0. Those 7 versions were all operated and maintained by Slingshot Studios after Fire Monkeys was taken off the game's production. But what also happened when Slingshot Studios took over was an increase of the game's minimum Android OS requirements, going from Android 7 to Android 8. That, unfortunately, complicates things because vPhone OS support jumps from Android 7 to Android 10, and going to Android 10 and above requires a VIP subscription. And I didn't want to put any of this project behind a paywall, so that wasn't an option for me. That was never an option. So I had to go back to an older version of vPhone OS that does have Android 10 support and that doesn't lock it behind a subscription-based model. Now, if that was the only problem, I might be okay with it. Yes, it does create a bit of an issue where you can't just get vPhone OS off the Google Play Store. It's got to be this older version of the game, except for the part where the restore a backup file option doesn't work, like at all. And I don't know why. It's literally a feature on the app, yet creating a backup on this older version of vPhone OS and then trying to immediately restore said backup doesn't work. It just doesn't. It saves this enormous file that's over 10 gigs, but it doesn't actually do anything with it. To make a long story short, the setup process will be completely different for Phase 7, and that's on top of the fact that I doubt the files will actually function as intended since the missing megabytes issue. There will be a totally different tutorial uploaded that will be specifically for Phase 7. Whether or not that actually works for anybody but me, we'll see. Cross that bridge when we get there, I guess. I know a lot of you have been waiting for the latest version of Real Racing 3 throughout this project, but I would genuinely recommend checking out some of the other projects like Resurrection or Retro if you want to avoid these possible bugs or just the complicated setup process altogether. I would recommend checking out some of those projects at least, and taking a look at what they've got. In my head, this was a lot simpler in my head, because when I started the project, I knew there was issues with the Android platform, with this game in particular, and my thought process was, if we use the emulator will eliminate the differences. If my device has one GPU and your device has a different GPU, but we emulate the same thing, then it doesn't matter. we'll emulate the same thing, and that will eliminate all of the different file stipulations and all these different specs and all this stuff. And while that works great on PC, my original vision with this project was to be PC only, and that worked out great. I'm really happy with how that turned out. Obviously, there are some compatibility issues for PC, Hyper-V and all that stuff. But from a baseline, it works. If you have the file, you have Nox, and you can get them to work together, it works great. And it does exactly what I wanted it to do, where you could have one type of computer, I'll have a different type of computer, but we emulate the same thing. My hope was that that would do the same, that would be the exact same process on mobile. But even with emulation, the real device specs reign supreme. And so downloading Real Racing 3 off of its official servers from inside vPhone OS still created this conundrum where it was actually downloading files for that specific GPU. That was the whole point. That was kind of the whole point of going through this emulation route, because it was going to simplify this game's very complex file system, and that didn't work. And I didn't find that out until about 2 weeks before the server shut down, and it was a mad scramble just to try and get 2 GPUs covered, that being Maui and Adreno, and that still didn't happen, at least fully. And now we're getting to the end of this project, and now we're seeing that even that wasn't enough, as there are multiple versions of Maui and Adreno, and it just gets more and more complicated from there. So what happens next? Where do we go from here? This is, not how I wanted this project to go, especially my first large-scale preservation project to end. Really have it fall apart like this. I unfortunately had to learn these lessons the hard way, and ultimately these mistakes are affecting you as well. Now, is there a chance that a fix could be discovered in the future? Absolutely. I think if the ProxyPin team over in China can get some game assets up on a server, there is a possibility that the game could get reconnected back online, and it would download the assets that it wants or needs or whatever. But that's not something that's guaranteed to happen, so keep that in mind going forward. If I could go back to when that shutdown announcement was made, mid-December, I would love to have those 90 days back so I could handle them differently. But that's not possible. What's been done has been done in terms of the server side. Now, this video has been nothing but doom and gloom, so I want to give some good news. I want to end this video with some good news. With how this second half of this project has just fallen off the rails and come apart, I want to at least try and make it up to this real racing community, this incredible community of people that have been around this game, that have been around this franchise. I want to make it up to those people because they deserve better than what's happened with this project. So I have one more release that will be coming after Phase 7, and learn from these mistakes that I made, and make one last release, at least for the time being, for the real racing community, and end on a strong note before I move on to other projects and other game titles. I want to do right by this community because they deserve not just better, they deserve the best, and they deserve the best that I can do. And I want to take what I've learned, what I've done wrong, make something that this community can be proud of. So I hope everyone that's here doesn't jump ship and sticks around for that release, which again, it'll be after Phase 7, but there will be beta testing and some other things happening after the release of Phase 6. So it'll be here sooner than you know. It'll be here sooner than you think. There's a lot that's been going on with this specific release in the background on top of Armageddon. So it's been sort of happening in the background. The wait times shouldn't be as bad. Obviously the wait times for Project Armageddon have been terrible, and I understand that, but this little extra bonus release that'll be after Phase 7 shouldn't be as long of a gap. Shouldn't be as long of a wait. Anyway, a gap between things. But anyway, that's something that's down the road, and I hope that people stick around to see, because it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be really, really good, and it's not going to be broken. I'm going to see to it that it's not broken. But that's all I've got to say. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much. I'm very humbled by how much support this channel's gotten, the Discord's gotten, and just how many people have rallied behind this game and this project and me, this channel. I'm humbled and very honored that so many of you have gotten behind me in this project. So I appreciate every single one of you. Whatever part or role you play, no matter how big or small, thank you for watching. And until next time, keep on gaming, everybody.